Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Dylan Silver, and today on the show I have Skylar Dawn. Skylar is a realtor, entrepreneur, award-winning business leader based in Orange County, California, featured in numerous publications worldwide for her success in entrepreneurship and business excellence. Skylar, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We talked a little bit before hopping on here, and I appreciate all the work you did leading up to the show here. Let's start at the top, your entrepreneurial origin story. How did you get into the entrepreneurial space?
Well, originally I had a business in entertainment. I started a production studio from pretty much nothing, and it grew to be something bigger than what I thought, it would have became.
Sure.
And I had numerous studios, but the biggest one was in Los Angeles, and I had that there for about 7 years. And, my lease was up, and, I had a landlord that saw kind of like the success and the equipment and everything and the type of people that were coming in to shoot. And I couldn't, beat, like, they wanted to give me a new lease where the rent was almost like double the price.
Yeah.
And found out that he was actually friends with a certain celebrity. I don't want to name who, because a lot of households know who he is. And they kind of wanted the studio for themselves.
I see.
Yeah.
So you had to kind of pivot at that point in time. And so with your business at that point, it was kind of a fork in the road. Or did you continue doing that? Did you move to a new space? What happened at that point in time?
When I first started the studio in LA, there wasn't very many independent studios at that time. I opened the studio in 2015. It was called Tiger Lab. And the slogan was a creative space for creative minds, where, no matter like the caliber of production, they can rent the studio for hourly or daily, weekly, monthly to shoot their content in.
Yeah.
And we were one of the few studios doing that at that time. And then a few years down the road, maybe on our 5th year, we started seeing a lot of smaller studios start to pop up and kind of take not only my kind of business like motto or idea, but others that were like us. Mm-hmm. And they were doing it for cheaper rates. But they weren't getting the quality. But, a lot of artists are like, well, we can just shoot in there and then kind of,
figure it out.
Yeah. So right now I didn't open another studio or try to, because I knew the Los Angeles area was just too saturated for it.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have still transitioned like our clientele to it, but if we went to a different space, with higher rent and everything, because at that time, just a 4,000 square foot warehouse, we closed the doors, I think was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? And at that time, just for a 4,000 square foot warehouse, the rent for it was like close to $7,000 to $10,000 a month, depending on where you were in LA.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, and with the studio, I didn't want any investors or really any partners or anything because I didn't want it to get too messy. So everything was from me and everything from that matter. But I did have a team with me running it. But that was pretty much the reason why I didn't decide to follow and open up another studio after that.
So at that point, Skylar, you're having to pivot in your business. Was that the point that you decided, hey, I'm going to move into the real estate space? How did that work? Or were you looking at a number of different options?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Well, I wanted to get into real estate and I wanted to get into law. I'm actually going to school right now. My goal is to become a real estate attorney.
There you go.
And I want to be on the defense side. So I wanted to go into law when I was working or had the studio. And I kind of wanted to get my real estate license then. But, I was really young when I opened it and I didn't know the laws and everything. And at that time, it was right after COVID. And there was a lot of, the courts were backed up,
Yeah.
with all the cases. And so many attorneys wanted to charge, so much money.
Yeah.
So I decided that, I want to go into real estate and I wanted to pursue law also because I want to educate myself, and have the knowledge and know, if I ever decide to open up another studio or I have someone that I know that needs the help, that I can be there to do so.
Right. And so your steps, it sounds like, were based on your enthusiasm and your passion in real estate, and then also passion for helping people. You mentioned the defense side, so I'm thinking about landlord-tenant situations and you representing the tenant. Am I right in that?
Yes, that's correct. But a lot of times from what I've seen, especially in LA, the judges like to side with the landlord.
That's interesting because as a Texan, we kind of have this friendly or sometimes rather tenuous competition with Californians. And so the thought is that in Texas, many areas are very investor friendly, landlord friendly, and that you have all these situations where there's squatters in California. Now, I don't live in California. This is just the perception that I have, nor am I an attorney, so it's not like I've reviewed the court cases. But in your experience and from what you've seen, there's judges that are favoring investors and landlords in these landlord-tenant battles, even in LA.
Yes. When I believe the moratorium was lifted, because commercial and residential were different for COVID, when those were lifted, there was no protection, I believe, for commercial buildings like myself. And there was some protection for residential. But if a landlord wanted to, right after COVID, and if a business owed back rent, they can charge them right then and there, right when that was lifted, or they would give an eviction notice to the companies. So that's why a lot of businesses 3 years after COVID, they went out of business in LA. It just depended on the county also and what the laws were after COVID and everything for that matter.
So at that point, you're, I guess twofold here. Number one, on the personal note, you're looking at this from, I have a career here, real estate attorney handling the defense of these commercial tenants or single family residential tenants, so on and so forth. But then you're also looking at it as there's a way for me to make money as a realtor right now. And so was it, hey, let me go get licensed? Was it, hey, let me go license, take the test? Or was it, I just got to start networking in these circles? Which was it, kind of a chicken and the egg scenario, but which one came first?
I guess me having to go take the test and go to school for it and
Yeah.
then, go network and everything. Because I didn't want to network or try to get clients if I didn't know, or throw myself out there too much. And then right after I got my license is when I started to kind of get more into real estate.
Okay.
And, doing open houses, getting clients and everything for that matter. And then I had a few, my last clients were all first time buyers. So I'm really glad that I was able to help navigate them through their home journey and kind of give them an idea, explain what the contingencies are and kind of how the process is and everything for that matter. And that whole process is something that I really enjoyed.
The first-time home buyer, honestly, being a first-time home buyer is right now, I think, harder maybe than ever. I don't know if everyone's going to agree with me on that, but it's certainly very, very, very tricky.
It is.
And thinking about just like what is needed to qualify for a loan right now, I mean, you talk about two opposite ends of the spectrum. I remember 2007, 2008, right before the crash, anyone with a pulse was getting approved, and then you have, 08, 09, 010, and you have Dodd-Frank get passed, and then to where we are today, it's just very, very difficult. And I think you see a lot of certainly online and on social media, a lot of pessimism from millennials and Gen Z when it comes to home ownership, just because of how difficult it is to qualify. And so helping people get into that first home is really a blessing. What was your scaling and your growth like, Skylar, as a new realtor yourself at that time? And how did you go about getting your first clients?
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Actually, my first clients were actually referrals
Oh, wow.
and people I know. So, my first client was actually my boyfriend's sister
There you go.
and her husband. And then after that, I currently have one client that I'm working with. I haven't sold him a home yet. We're working on it. And he referred me to one of his friends.
Those in network or in your close circle referrals, I think, are the hardest ones. I'm a brand new realtor myself, and when I see new realtors talking about their network and mining their network, I think it's easier said than done in many cases because these people know everything about you, right? So in some ways, it's easier to if I'm selling my home, it might be easier to go with someone who's not blood, who's not family, or who's not a close friend, because I don't want to sour that relationship in a way. So it speaks volumes that these people who are close in your life really immediately thought of you when you were at the time a newer agent. So you get these listings and you're scaling from there. What did the next couple of steps for you look like after you had sold those first few listings?
Well, after those first few listings, I noticed kind of where, I guess, for a first time buyer, what their strengths and weaknesses are and what they needed to be more educated on. So after that, I kind of was like, okay, I want to be able to kind of educate my buyers a little bit more, because buying your first home is one of the biggest steps like someone in their life is going to make.
Period.
And it's one of their biggest financial decisions also. And you want to make sure that your client knows, also the risk on what type of property that they're getting. You want to make sure that they know the type of loans that they can qualify for. You know, back to like, it's hard to get, assistance right now for first time buyers. A lot of states, including California, and I think Texas too, they're offering down assistance payment programs that will help you or help a first time buyer get into a home to help cover their down payment, their closing costs, and sometimes the property taxes on the home.
Wow.
And there's a lot of people that don't know that because statistically right now, so back in 23, right? They said 15% in California, 15% of first-time home buyers, or 15%, I believe it was 15% of first-time home buyers can afford a home here. And the median price was about $830,000. That was 2 years ago. So can you imagine how much the property value has went up since then, especially here? And that's why you have a lot of first-time buyers that are leaving to like Texas, from California. They're going to Utah. They're going to maybe Florida or, more back east because they're getting a chance where they can possibly afford a home there. So that's one thing that I want first time buyers to know, like, even if you're in a state like California where the home prices are very high, that there is assistance and down payment assistance out there for you. We actually, one of my buyers, the first time buyers that I helped get into a home, we actually got them into a down assistance and payment program that helped them with the closing cost. Wow. And they've been in the house, I guess, for about 7 months now.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
To your point, Skyler, I think these programs, and because I'm such a newly licensed realtor, I'm remembering all the different programs that are out there specifically for people in Texas. I don't want to butcher all the acronyms, but I'm now having my memory jogged and talking to you about all these different down payment assistance programs. And I would also add to that although I'm in Texas and I've been a Texan now for the last 6 years, I'm not someone who's going to say, everyone who can't find a super cost-effective home in their area, they shouldn't move. They should stick it out where they're at. So I'm in DFW. I lived in San Antonio. And even here, home prices are getting higher and higher and higher. I can tell you, Skylar, people are looking at Oklahoma. People are looking at Oklahoma, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's called the 35 corridor from DFW up to Oklahoma, because you're seeing this trend of these towns in between. I'm in Denton, but you'll have Denton, you'll have Sherman. I'm forgetting some of the towns that connect DFW with Oklahoma. But then as you're getting into Oklahoma, the homes are like almost 60% of what they are up here, and in the same condition, right? So for people who are wanting still to be in and around Texas, you can do it in Oklahoma. You're basically living like an hour and a half away. But here where I'm at in Denton, I'm already like 50 minutes away from DFW. So in a sense, we're seeing a lot of this greater expansion. So anyone who's saying like, hey, I have to go find a way to do this, I'm not opposed to it. But it's great to hear that you're able to, on your end, help people with that down payment assistance. And what was that process like for them, and how did you learn it yourself? Was it kind of figuring it out as you went? Was there a lot of assistance from mentors, or how did you work through that process?
There's actually a class that you can take that will, for realtors, to explain the down assistance of programs. And on our MLS, it will tell you, and sometimes the loan officers might have to double check on a property if it doesn't come up on our MLS, but there's an icon next to a property that will tell us that this is down assistance payment qualified. And we will know, okay, what kind of programs would this offer? And we go talk to the loan officer and everything for that matter. My client that got the assistance, they actually had to take a course for first time buyers, and it was online. So that's one of the things. Okay, we'll give you, the assistance, but you have to take like a course. And they had to take the course. I think it was just a few hours. They had to take it while we were in the middle of escrow.
So I'm assuming this is added to the loan, that this is not free money, that this is added to the loan. They have to pay it back. But instead of having to come up with, 10 or 20%, they're having to come up with maybe 3% or something along the lines of this, or less. I don't know.
It depends on what programs. There's also a program that one of my clients, they got into where it was a conventional loan, but they only have to put 3% down with no mortgage insurance, and they were a first-time buyer. And to kind of go back to where we were talking about how so many people are moving to Texas,
Yeah.
I think they presented a law or they passed a law, I'm not sure, where since so many investors were trying to buy rental property there, single family homes, I think Texas proposed a law where your primary home has to be in Texas in order to get a rental property there. Since so many people are trying to go there right now.
I'm not personally familiar with that, but that wouldn't entirely shock me. Or it might be a case where in order for you to make use of banks that are based out of Texas as a rental property, you have to be based out of here. It would, I would say, shock me, knowing I work a lot with investors. That's my primary avatar of real estate operator that I work with. It would shock me if all of a sudden out-of-state investors could not invest in Texas. I just think of the literally hundreds of California investors that I've spoken with who are investing in Texas, and I don't know what would happen to those guys. Maybe they would get grandfathered in.
See, majority of investors in California, especially I think in LA and Orange County, they're either, which I'm going to get into later, they're either foreign investors or they're corporations that are trying to buy the property. And there's two different reasons. A lot of times the foreign investors, it might have changed since the new administration has gotten into office, but there's a program where it used to be 500,000, but now it's 700,000, where if you buy a home, and I need to double check if it's just in the state of California or if it's throughout the whole nation, where if you buy a home for 700,000, you automatically get citizenship in the United States. Yeah.
This is in which state? In California?
I think it's nationwide.
Okay.
Because I know Florida passed a law where some foreign investors cannot buy property in Florida.
Are you getting a permanent resident, like a green card, or you're getting like a U.S. passport?
I think it's a permanent residency because you own property.
Yeah.
And then you have corporations, which I'm going to get into later on, that are currently buying property to hold so they can make their investment and they have their assets. So right now in Orange County, I think especially in Orange County, we have a lot of the foreign investors that are doing that. But in Los Angeles County, you have a lot of the corporations that are trying to buy property.
Yeah, I mean, I have had so many discussions with various different investors that I'm batting around whether I should. I'm not going to name names. I'm a realtor now. I don't think I can name names, but
no, that wouldn't be good.
But this was when I was a wholesaler and talking with some of these investors, and it did seem like there was a lot of international interest in Texas. It doesn't shock me that this is in California as well, considering that it's a coastal state.
Yes.
I'm sure you see. Of course, we are a border state. We're bordered with Mexico, but California, being a coastal state, of course, has tons of immigration there as well. And so, in your experience dealing with these, I don't know how much we haven't talked about that, how much experience you have working with investors, but how has it been different, or how have you seen that it's been different working with some of those folks versus working with people that are looking to buy their first home? I can tell you in my experience, it's night and day. And I personally prefer to work with the same group of investors over and over again. That's just for me personally. I'm not saying that I'm not going to list homes. I just love working with investors, and it's not my cup of tea to work with, people who are looking to go buy property or me to list someone else's property. But have you had experience working with investors, or if not, what's been your perception of that?
So I have some experience. Right now, I am starting to work more with investors. And the broker that I'm currently with, they are actually investors. They flip. So I am starting to tap more into that industry a little bit more. I agree, it is night and day compared to working with first-time buyers or just buyers that are just looking to buy their primary property
Yep.
compared to investors. Because luckily, my broker kind of gave me a crash course. Shout out to Victor. Thank you. He's our team lead at our
Yeah.
broker. When you talk to investors, you got to know their lingo. And that's something that I was kind of struggling with, but he kind of broke it down for me because you need to know ROI. You need to know, how much, how long it's going to take in order for them. I think it's GRM in order for them to get their investment back and everything for that matter. How much are their risk, how much are their net profit if they decide to hold the property and everything for that matter.
Yeah.
Like you have to be able to break this down in front of these investors for them to be comfortable to work with you and also to want to get a property from you.
You're 100% right. It's honestly, to me, now that I know so many investors, I look at it more kind of like a test, them like feeling you out. Because in a lot of cases, like they'll use some of these numbers, but to like throw out all these in like a dictionary, like they're testing, it's to me a little silly. But I do understand that if you're evaluating, like for instance, a commercial property, that this is with multiple doors, this is highly important. Versus when you need a realtor to open up, let's say, a property so that you could take a look at it. It's a single family residential, maybe a potential fix and flip opportunity for you, and you're like quizzing them. To me, I'm like, I've been on this side working with the investor now enough times where when I see that, I'm like, okay, here's another one of these. But at the same point in time, when I wasn't licensed and when I was just a wholesaler, Skyler, this was one of these deals where I would talk to realtors and they would throw these terms at me that were like realtor terms, which is finally what inspired me to get my license. Because I was like, there's so many realtors that are like quizzing me out here, being like, oh, you don't know, the truck promulgated forms. This is on a promulgated form. Like, where's your 1 to 4? And this is just like basic terminology now that I understand this. And I'm like, well, they could have just not done that. But now I'm sitting here licensed. So I really couldn't beat
Or
them, but I joined them.
what's a good one? Do you have any REO properties? At first, I was like, wait a minute, what is a REO?
Is
You
that a
know,
REIT-owned something or other?
that's bank owned.
Okay. Bank owned.
Bank owned.
Yeah.
REO. They call
Yeah,
I
that's a
don't
quiz question. They're like trying to get you.
yeah. I'm like at first when I heard REO, I was like, what is that? And then I kind of had to like look it up and I was like, oh, it's bank owned property. These are
Yeah.
foreclosures. But I guess it's funny when you talk to a normal consumer or a buyer, you say, okay, this is a foreclosed property. But then when you talk to a realtor, you're like, oh, this is a REO. So you have to like do two different lingos when you're
You
doing
have
like
to
the deal and
spruce
everything.
it
Yeah.
up so much. Oh my gosh. I feel like I don't know if you've done this, but I've definitely done this so many times. I'll be having a conversation with one of my boys on the phone. Regular conversation. Hey Matt, how you doing? Then I'll immediately go and I'm like, like I'm buttoning myself up, getting on the phone, transforming, and now I'm like having a conversation. Yeah, we'll break down. I forget what it's called, the triple net lease. Everything is going to be covered, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. They're asking me about like the cap rate. I'm like, yeah, and it's just like, what do we even? But it's in my head too, because at the same point in time, I remember back to when I was just starting 2 years ago, and I still don't feel that much different, like as a person. So whenever I'm having these conversations, I'm literally in my mind just like saying the thing, just translating it to a different language, and now I'm talking to this other person. But it's funny to me because I feel like if and when I get to that side where I'm the investor and I'm getting, deeds in my name or an LLC that I own, I'm not going to be quizzing people, but you never know. Maybe I'll change in that regard.
I have a friend that's an investor and he holds property, right?
Yeah.
And since I got my license, I noticed that he kind of tests me and he kind of quizzes me. but I like it because it's kind of preparing me because I'm actually going this Sunday to meet investors and see property from Dubai. And
Nice.
I'm going to this meeting out in Beverly Hills. And I kind of like it because after, talking with like my brokers and also talking like to my friends that are like investors and stuff, it kind of prepared me to kind of be ready to go into, I guess, I'm not going to say the Shark Tank, but more like in the fire pit because you have to know what to say and how to talk to these people.
You literally do have to know what to say and how to talk to these. And I,
Yes.
I could. This is a whole other podcast because just the lingo itself. When I first stepped into these rooms, so my journey was I was literally working for a Nissan dealership. I was a salesperson. No, never thought about real estate. This is like 20. I want to say it's 2021, if I'm not mistaken, end of 2021, and it's either that or 2022. My chronology is all messed up in my head, but when I was there, I had no inkling that I was going to end up in real estate. It wasn't even a blip on the radar. But as I'm working there, working all the hours, I'm like, I feel like I have some kind of a transferable skill set. I feel like I can talk to people. How do I get into real estate? I ended up.
Hey,
Go ahead.
that's like the number one skill set
Yeah.
because if you can talk to people and make people comfortable talking to you, you're fine. Because
Yeah.
I have seen realtors and I know people where they can't talk, and I'm like, no matter what kind of sales, even if you're an entrepreneur, okay, if you're any kind of entrepreneur, you have to know how to talk to people
Talk. You do.
because either whatever you're selling is either tangible or untangible. You have to sell the product no matter what it is, and you have to make people comfortable talking to you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you anymore. To bring that full circle, so I ended up going to work for this wholesale company. I had no idea really anything about anything. I went in so green, it was nuts, and it was quite literally like faking it till you make it, like hardcore. And then I didn't get my license until like handful of weeks ago. So I was almost 2 years in, just networking with investors, meeting people, trying to understand these contracts. And then now that I'm on the other side and I'm a licensed realtor and now I'm attending these events as a realtor, Skyler, still feel in many ways the same way that I did working at the Nissan dealer. Like, how do I get in these rooms? But now I'm armed with the knowledge, and I also know that like this person that I'm talking with isn't really like sometimes they are, but isn't really that much more knowledgeable than me. We've been to the same classes, we've done all this. So I'm looking at them when they look like maybe they have their nose in the air to a degree, and I'm like, we're the same person, bro. Like you don't have to do that. And
Exactly.
it's like to your point, Skylar. It really is. How can you meet the right people? How can you have those conversations? That's my perspective.
See, I tell people, okay, if you want to get good at talking to people, find the most unapproachable person in that room that seems a little bit standoffish and intimidating and go talk to them. Either they'll brush you off and not want to talk to you, or they'll actually engage in a conversation with you. But either way, you're building that confidence just to approach people. No matter who they are, no matter what they have, or how intimidating, or anything for that matter, you're building that confidence to go talk to them. So that's if you go in these rooms with these
Yeah.
investors, or also like, with these other realtors, do it. Find the most intimidating or like the most standoffish person in that room or intimidating person that you think that's in that room. Just go up and talk to them.
Yeah, I call it fanatical networking, guerrilla networking, being a networking junkie. Skylar, when I started out, I was like so green, like didn't know anything about anything, didn't even really know anybody. I was going to RIA events once a month. That ended up being great because that's how I got into real estate investing. But now I'm going like twice a week, and then I host, this podcast, and I'm meeting all these great people such as yourself. And now I'm like, I don't even feel like I'm networking enough, even now. And I'm meeting people multiple times a day, every day. I was just at an event before I got to here. And I really, really don't feel like you could be doing enough. As soon as I feel like, oh, here I am, there's a whole other level. You talked about Dubai. I'm like, how do I get in that room?
You know what? To be honest with you, there was an investment company from Dubai posting that they were going to be coming to LA and showing their portfolio to investors and everything. And I'm like, okay, I'm not trying, well, at the moment, I'm not trying to invest into Dubai, but I want to network with the investors that are. So I got in contact with them. I said I would send them an email saying I was interested in attending. And then they asked me, they go, well, how much are you willing to invest? And I said, I'm a realtor and I want to go and network. The guy kind of thought about it for a minute. He goes, oh, that should be fine. And then sent me all the credentials and everything. So
That's how you did it.
but you know what? This is the first time I'm going to be meeting in a big group with investors, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I'm excited because in order for me, okay, in order for you to get good at what you do, no matter what kind of entrepreneur you are, you have to put yourself out there. You have to put
Yeah.
yourself in uncomfortable situations when it comes to business because that's the only way you're going to learn
The only
and
way.
grow. Yeah. So I'm very excited on who I'm going to meet and also seeing the properties that are coming out in Dubai too.
Skylar, there's so many other topics, that I would love to talk about with you. I know that on the notes we were going to talk about California AB 2584, generational wealth through real estate. We're actually coming up on time here, though. Where can folks go to get a hold of you?
They can find me on my Instagram. It's at Skylar, Skylar DAWNN. So at Skylar.Dawn.
Skylar, thank you so much for coming on here. We'll have to have you back. Thank you so much for your time, for giving our listeners some value, for talking about California real estate. Thanks for coming on here.
Yes, and thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.